Throughout Arsenal's tour of America, some things really stood out to me that were good things. Gabby Jesus looks fit and firing at last. Timber played at centre-back, which, to be fair, I don't think that means a huge amount, but it was still quite interesting to see. Carl Hein looked pretty okay at goalkeeper, but 2 academy players really looked a cut above the rest in terms of academy players. Those 2 being Ethan Nwaneri and Myles Lewis-Skelly. I also thought Salah was impressive, but to me, Nwaneri and Lewis-Skelly were the main standouts from our academy. I already made a video about Nwaneri discussing a potential pathway to the first team for him and just what makes him so impressive. So I thought today I will do the same for another Arsenal Academy product. So in today's video, we'll be discussing Myles Lewis-Skelly, his performances out in the US, just what makes him so good, and does he have a realistic pathway to this first team? Well, that's what we'll be talking about today. So what's going on, everyone? You are listening to Gunner Central here. I hope you're all doing well. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Myles Lewis-Skelly joined the Arsenal Academy at the age of 8 years old and made his Arsenal under-18 debut alongside Ethan Nwaneri in a 6-1 win over Reading. In February 2023, Lewis-Skelly signed a scholarship deal at Arsenal after being really impressive for the club at both defensive midfield, central midfield, attacking midfield, and even at left back. Lewis-Skelly has had some really impressive performances, namely against Cambridge United and Man City in the academy, and even received praise from under-18 coach and club legend Jack Wilshere, saying that Lewis-Skelly had some things you just can't coach in players. In October of last year, Lewis-Skelly signed his first professional contract with the club, and Lewis-Skelly has more than held his own at just about every level of the academy, and he's continued to impress and hold his own at the professional level during pre-season. Myles Lewis-Skelly is a very exciting prospect. Lewis-Skelly is an extremely versatile player, being able to play just about anywhere in the midfield and still being able to play as a left back. Lewis-Skelly is as well-rounded of a player that you could ask for in a 17-year-old, and Lewis-Skelly has had no real downside to his game, at least in my eyes. He is very competent in just about every area of his game. He is superb with the ball at his feet. He's a fairly hard worker on and off the ball. He is able to play as a box-to-box midfielder. He's able to play as an inverted left back. He's able to play even as a holding midfielder. I mean, Lewis-Skelly is just such an impressive and unique talent with so much versatility. He is an all-action midfielder when he's in midfield. He's able to impose himself at just about every position he plays, and he is defensively so sound. He has a good football IQ. He is very confident on the ball. He has an incredible level of technique for his age, and he has just such a good burst of pace. He's surprisingly strong despite his age, and his stamina is impressive as well, being relentless in the majority of games he plays, looking barely ever tired despite maybe even playing full 90 minutes in the academy. And despite being so versatile and so good in all areas of his game, it seems like based off of pre-season anyway, Mikel Arteta probably profiles Lewis-Skelly as an inverted left back for the team. And I'm not mad at that at all. In the games against Bournemouth, Liverpool and Manchester United, Lewis-Skelly was used as an inverted left back. He looked incredibly comfortable on the ball when inverting in all 3 games, but equally he looked incredibly confident and comfortable defending, making good strong tackles. Lewis-Skelly never really seemed to be flustered. He made some good decisions. He looked decisive on the ball, which isn't too common for an academy player. And I mean, he even got himself an assist coming off the bench against Manchester United for the Martinelli goal. And despite being so good offensively, he still remained very responsible and aware of his defensive duties down the left-hand flank, something that admittedly Alexander Zinchenko just isn't ever really good at. Like I said, Salah was really good. Aiden Heaven was good, but to me, Ethan Nwaneri and Lewis-Skelly looked like regular first team players at times. I mean, you rarely ever saw Nwaneri or Lewis-Skelly put a foot wrong in their games that they played. Now, admittedly, Nwaneri to me looked slightly better than Lewis-Skelly, and in my eyes, Nwaneri is probably more ready to be a regular squad member than Lewis-Skelly, but Lewis-Skelly isn't far off. And it was awesome to see both Ethan Nwaneri and Myles Lewis-Skelly train with the first team even after the preseason tour. So maybe Arteta thinks the same as all of us, that these guys are ready for a step up, at least as far as training goes. Now, in my video about Ethan Nwaneri, I was saying that I don't think keeping Nwaneri in the first team training this season and allowing him to maybe play cup games would bring any negatives to Ethan Nwaneri's development. And the same goes for Myles Lewis-Skelly. Now, I think the pathway for Skelly to make it into this first team is maybe slightly harder than it is for Ethan Nwaneri, just because of the amount of depth that we have at the left back position. But it's still not impossible. If Tierney does get sold, maybe plus Kivior, we'll have cup games where at left back, Lewis-Skelly is a very playable player. Now, with Ethan Nwaneri and Myles Lewis-Skelly both being 17 years old, there isn't necessarily a rush to get them playing first team football for us this season, but it won't hurt to keep them playing for our under 23s right now and let them keep training with the first team on a regular basis and maybe featuring in some cup games. I think maybe next season when they're both 18, if there isn't at least an immediate backup role for either of them, well then maybe a loan would be a good move for them. But based off what we've seen in the academy and off of preseason, I don't think keeping them in the first team training, playing them in under 23 games and playing them in first team cup games would do any harm to their development. If anything, it might speed up their development being that they are training with the first team consistently. I think next summer a loan may be the best option for both of them, but this season, in my opinion, keep Ethan Nwaneri, keep Myles Lewis-Skelly in and around the first team, let them train and grow with the first team because they are both extraordinary talents and I'd love to see them eventually progress into becoming first team regulars in the future.